The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
On the open line today, call 66 13 68. Text or WhatsApp 166 177. Email studio@manxradio.com. Your chance to have your say. On Mannin Line today, well, you know what today is, don't you? It's 1 year to go. In 1 year's time, Wednesday, 24th of September 2026, it will be the House of Keys election, and congratulations to Simon Williams, first person to declare an intention to stand in the 2026 general election in the constituency of Rushen. Simon Williams is going to stand, and there he is, a nice long run-up to go around all the houses. Well, maybe today is the day you're going to decide to stand next year. Will be a very important election, and of course we'll have lots and lots of opportunity to speak to all the candidates. And in the meantime, we'd like your help. It's exactly a year till the general election, so we want to know what you think are the main issues. On our website at manxradio.com, we've got a kind of survey for you to fill out. Another survey. What do you want to see in your candidate manifestos? And if your MHK decides to stand again, would they get your vote? Your thoughts will help shape our election coverage over the next year, the coming year. So tell us what you think and what information will help you make the all-important decision this time next year. Go to manxradio.com. It just takes a few moments to fill out the short survey, and the more people who fill out the survey, the more we'll be informed as to what it is you think that you want from your candidate or from our coverage as well next year. There will be a lot of it. Patrick called yesterday, by the way. We missed Patrick. He called really late. Did that seal escape, by the way? The seal that was in Douglas Inner Harbour. I think, who was it said they spoke to the seal, and the seal is against wind turbines. I don't know. That may just be Skeet. Oh, and also Patrick called. Yes, Patrick called to say that he'll put £200 up if £200 for information leading to finding out who did that fly tipping at Dalby yesterday. Thank you, Patrick. That's very generous of you. We still haven't found who did it, by the way. But if as soon as we do find out, we'll know. And those words of Bill Dales have just come ringing back. When was the last time we heard anybody prosecuted for fly tipping? I mean, in the past 5 years. Has it happened? Has it actually happened? Another point came in from 313 and said, what's going to happen when people have to dump all their gas boilers, when gas boilers, fossil fuel boilers are made illegal in a few years' time? And when the batteries start decaying on electric vehicles, how are they going to be got rid of on the Isle of Man? Bearing in mind, at the moment, if an EV has to be mended and go off the Isle of Man, I think it's Mesrin. I think I'm right in saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that Mesrin are the people who take electric vehicles off the Isle of Man to be repaired, because nobody at the moment on the island can do it. Somebody said, what did Christmas trees and Father Christmas have to do with religion? Because we were talking about religious studies, religious education in school, and how much there is of it. And, some people have said they don't like religion, don't like Christianity, don't like it being forced. And my point was, so what happens about Easter and Christmas? They are Christian festivals. I mean, I know they've got chocolate bolted onto them in large measure, and Father Christmas there as well, and Christmas trees, but they are religious festivals. Christmas is about the birth of Christ, and Easter is about the death of Christ, the crucifixion, the resurrection, if you believe it. So, or do we just say that we won't have Christmas, we'll just have a midwinter pagan festival where we just exchange gifts to celebrate the winter solstice? Would that help you? I mean, at Christmas, do you feel, I mean, if you are a churchgoer, or even if you're not, is perhaps Christmas the one time when you do go to church, to midnight mass on Christmas? I'm just asking. And this whole concept of religion and what sort of religious education should be in our schools. The government wants to know. We'll find out. UK and Dublin Airport, leave everything in your carry-on. Isle of Man Airport, take everything out, says 221. Again, we were talking about, is it lead-acid batteries that now Loganair don't handle anymore? So, yes, if anybody can tell us, by the way, that what's happened to the seal, I'd really appreciate it. Mike again on 654 says Easter and Christmas apparently was hijacked from paganism. Is this true, says Mike again? I think Mike's an atheist. I think Mike is Isle of Man atheists. I'm being serious. I'm not being flippant about this. Really, can you take the religion out of Christmas? I mean, I know for a fact the angels have gone, haven't they, from the lights in Douglas. There aren't any angels anymore. In fact, if you go throughout most big cities in the British Isles, the depiction of Christianity in Christmas lights has gone completely. It's all cartoon characters and Father Christmas and trees. So how did this happen? And bearing in mind that 40+% of people stated they had no religion on the last census on the Isle of Man. So Christianity is just about in a majority. Any thoughts? Be good to hear from you. Could you? And I'm serious about this. If you're not a churchgoer, are you tempted for midnight mass to go? Christmas Eve, just to go. I think it's fairly well documented that churches are, have their biggest audience, if you like, their biggest congregation on Christmas Eve into midnight mass. Anyway, it's a thought, and John's with us now. Hi, John.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Very well. Yeah, what's on your mind?
Andy, now, a lot of things are open to debate, I know that. That's why we've got the Mannin Line. Now, I was apprehensive when they removed the bishop's symbols because I thought this could have been a prerequisite of getting the teeth into removing religious education in schools. So, this is my opinion. Religious education in schools, number one, it's not compulsory. If you don't wish your child to attend religious education, you can quite easily take them out. Number two, if this was ever removed from schools, the ramifications of this would be massive. I don't even want to go there because later on, years later, this would happen and you'd think, right, well, we shouldn't have taken religious education out of schools. Now, predominantly, I know there's people out there that aren't religious. They don't want their children educated in any type of religion. There's a lot of people in the Isle of Man, like myself, like all my grandchildren and all my family, we get married in churches. Children get christened. It's really important for children to have an understanding of religion and how it works. And it's also other religions they teach as well. Our faith is tolerance, understanding, and empathy. That's my view. I think it's absolutely paramount that this isn't touched. Not at all, no.
So, I'm trying to get my head around this. What about some people who profess not to have religion, but, as you say, get married in church or get children christened? How does that work?
Well, they're quite entitled to do that. You know, I think at the end of the day, we can all say we're not religious, but when a day comes when you start to meet your maker,
yeah.
I think a lot of people have the peace to say, you know, I'm sorry for what I've done in the past. I need to have a clean slate. I would like to go to heaven. As stupid as that sounds, you'll be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as for getting married, you see, we're going back to basics now. You get married, but under the eyes of God. It's an oath that you take. This one is legal. You stand in court, I swear by Almighty God to say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
This one is another legal aspect of it. So there's a lot going on here, and God forbid it of any of these MHKs. I think it was Dr. Ellison that progressed this private motions bill to have the bishop's vote removed.
No, it was Laurie.
Now, this particular gentleman...
No, it was Laurie Hooper. It was Laurie Hooper.
Ah, right, I stand corrected. But Laurie Hooper has possibly only got another year in, because we're coming up to the vote. The new MHK is getting voted in. What he's done, as far as I'm concerned, is totally wrong. And if he does not elected next year, he's done something that'll last forever. Yeah, shouldn't have gone. But there you are, that's my personal view.
Well, that's interesting. And I just wonder how many people will actually ask. Well, I mean, would you ask a prospective candidate next year what they think of religious education and religion in general?
Not really, no, because you're touching a bit personal there. Whatever a person's religion is, that's their belief, that's their business. The children go to school if they don't want to get educated, or the parents don't want them educated. Yeah. This is their way of going forward. They can take the child out of school for religious education.
All right.
But I think it's important, absolutely imperative that it's kept in place.
Appreciate it, John. Thanks for calling today.
Yep. Cheers now.
Thanks.
Bye.
18 minutes past 12. A grey female Staffordshire Bull Terrier, has been rescued at the end of Tremode Road. If anybody is missing a grey female Stafford, Mike at Elegance. Is that Mike at Elegance Taxis? If you lost your grey female Stafford. I was reading yesterday's Isle of Man Examiner and was horrified to read that Faux Hallou has reformed. Horrified? Why horrified, Francesca? So, every candidate will be interviewed. I'm sorry. Fran, why would you be horrified that Faux Hallou has reconstituted? There's scrap value to all washing machines, so how can the tips also charge to take them, says Alan. You may well ask, Alan, we were talking about this whole aspect of fly tipping yesterday, and really what's at the bottom, and how you can stop it. And, of course, callers yesterday said, some people will have old washers, they'll have old dishwashers, microwaves, what have you, that they simply can't afford to pay for at the tip. So would you forgive them for throwing them on the side of the road? Would you? Jeffrey, I think I've noted in my last election, I can't dredge up any enthusiasm for another round of electioneering, says Jeff. Nothing any candidate will make any difference. I remember all the words from the last election. We've lived through 3 to 4 years of a gigantic nothing happening. Our system of government doesn't work. We need a benevolent dictator for the next 4 years. Who are you suggesting, Jeff? Anything else will be a fail and wasted opportunity, says Jeff. Right. I'm suspecting your tongue was well in your cheek with that. And if people aren't religious, it's their right, says Anne, but they shouldn't expect to use church for their weddings and their funerals, says Anne. So is that hypocritical if people contend that they're not religious or not Christian, but want a wedding and want a funeral or a christening there? I mean, I don't think the vicar would object too much. I agree, says 521. Children should have an understanding of all religions. If they're planning to take religious education out of schools, they need to question why. Religion has always been there for us when we need it, says 521. Christmas and Easter were pagan festivals, apparently, says H. Is this true? 768. Before they were connected with Christianity. Studies have shown... Which studies have shown? H. Which studies? That if there was a Christ, he wasn't born at Christmas. Well, this goes on and on and on, doesn't it? I mean, I think it falls down on the side, you don't believe. Children don't connect Father Christmas or trees with a religion, so why should we stop them having fun? I'm an atheist. I gathered that. But I do think that children should be taught about all religions and cultures. Hang on, what do you mean? I thought you were an atheist. So if you're an atheist, but you want children to be taught about religions and cultures, religions to what end? If you don't believe in religion, why would you want anybody to be taught? Anyway, it's the root of quite a few wars, for a start. Yes, we hear this all the time. I think some people get married in church for the atmospheric surroundings, and the church makes money from all the ceremonies, says that. People get married in church for atmospherics. Do you genuinely think that people only get married in church because of the nice surroundings, as opposed to, Mount Murray? Mount Murray do weddings now. You can go to the registry office. Is that so, 768? I'm in complete agreement with John, says Jan, and thank him for speaking out on this. I'm not religious. Chose consciously not to have my children christened, as in my eyes they are free to choose their own faith if they wish to, not impose one from birth. I chose not to get married in church. I've no faith, so why should I? Why would I? And as for the annual events, they were built around the pagan calendar, which capitalism has built into its business and economy. And that's not faith, that's capitalism, says Joe. Well, we accept, don't we, that Christmas is chock full of capitalism. You'll see it now. Go into any supermarket. The Christmas stuff's there already. Have you bought your advent calendar? Your chocolate one, that is. Easter, well, you can guarantee come January, the Easter eggs are going to be on sale. But perhaps somebody, somewhere, maybe it may even be you, actually follow the religious significance of Christmas and Easter. The second and final day of this year's Isle of Man Government Conference is taking place. Opening the conference yesterday, the Chief Minister announced plans to increase the level of financial support that's available for first-time buyers. But with a year to go before the next year general election, well, does the Manx population, do you expect bigger and bolder statements and policies from the government? What do you expect to hear from the government? A year to go. Chief Minister Alfred Cannon.
I think we are in an environment where perhaps slightly more radical, if that's the right word, or stronger policies in some areas might address some of the situation. I mean, I think this issue for many of us at the moment is about creating some wealth for families and for individuals, putting some money back in people's pockets. And as Mr. Pomeroy said, clearly, if people were spending more, then we would actually see a bit more active growth in our economy. And of course, many families are feeling squeezed for a number of reasons. And of course, inflation isn't going away. But yeah, I mean, on the other hand, Phil, we've been incredibly stable. I know there's been some ups and downs, and I've had a no confidence challenge, but we're still offering a great deal of stability. You know, when you compare us to other nations which are swapping governments and leaders almost annually at the moment, I've lost count of the number of senior ministers and prime ministers that have been come and gone since I took office, never mind in the last 10 years, but still not really any further forward despite all those changes. And of course, what you're finding is that people are inheriting the same set of problems. The reality of those problems needs a lot more nuancing and clever thinking than big, bold statements that actually in reality just don't work.
Well, you'll be hearing a lot more about this, and obviously what will happen to all the politicians. The politicians who were elected last time, some will decide they've had enough and won't stand. Some will stand again. Some may even stand knowing they're not going to get in. With a year to go, what kind of campaign might we be heading for? Alistair Ramsey, political commentator, has been watching Manx politics, well, for more than 40 years. And he's still only 35. Alistair Ramsey's been a journalist, a government media officer, now a regular observer of Tynwald. Alistair Ramsey on what we can expect.
The most interesting question about the election next year is whether we will actually see a genuine anti-government reaction against the sitting members. And people always talk about that, and they always say it's the worst ever government, and it never quite works out like that. But my sense is that there is a kind of disillusionment with the government this time that may translate into a reaction against the sitting members. So the task for the sitting members is to distance themselves from the government and pretend that they've been anti-government all along, which will include a number of former ministers who were very clearly part of the government for quite a long time.
And does that make life very difficult for any chief minister?
Yes, it does make it difficult. I don't say that all the ministers will do that. I think some of them will stick to their guns, and they deserve credit for that. It's entirely possible that the chief minister himself could distance himself from his own government's policies. That can happen, and hope that people have short memories.
What do you think? That was Alistair Ramsey. A year to go. I know. It'll be here soon enough, don't worry. Alan dropped a note in just regarding Christmas and Easter. Christmas is immensely important to me as I reflect on the birth of Jesus into the world as teacher and saviour. And Easter is likewise important as it was through him giving up his life on a cruel Roman cross and shedding his blood as the blood offering to forgive us for our sins, as all are born sinners. This is Alan, by the way. He rose again on the third day as a precursor to our own resurrection after death to paradise in heaven forever. Here endeth the lesson. Thank you, Alan. Good to hear from you. And by the way, Mike the Atheist, if you could put all that into one rather than sending me 30 emails, Mike, I do appreciate your industry, but it doesn't help with making sense of what you're saying. Controversial, but maybe. 364. Charge more for non-Christians to use the church and only have Christmas and Easter as bank holidays for those who believe. That would cause chaos for many. How about that? You don't believe in Christmas, you don't get the day off. You don't believe in Christ, if you're not Christian, you have to pay more to have a wedding there or to have a funeral there. How does that sound? It sounds controversial. It sounds... Well, anyway, Sharon, thank you for that. Yes, Christmas and Easter are bank holidays, Good Friday and Easter Monday. They're bank holidays, so if you don't believe, maybe you should go to work, just for the sake of your principles. Christianity has been eroded away, says 068. It's very troubling. Christianity gave people a moral compass to live by and a sense of community. Close-knit communities have diminished, especially in the UK. It's sad that Christianity has vanished from Christmas and Easter. Here's Irene now. Hello, Irene.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very well. What's on your mind, Irene?
It's just this debate about religion in schools.
Yeah.
I was a secondary school teacher, and I used to help out with my colleague who was head of religion. Well, she might say I hindered her, I don't know, but I tried to help. And I think it's important that children, it's just another subject that they should learn about. I mean, we used to do world religions, and I think children need to know about them. And
when
they
you
can
say,
make their own decisions later on.
Irene, when you say you did world religions, what religions did you touch on?
Oh, we had a book. I forget what it was called, but it covered up Jewish, Hinduism, everything it covered, and the children were told about it, and we discussed it. And I think it's important that they know about all these things, so they can make decisions later on.
Oh, I see. So
where else are we going to learn about it?
Religious education to basically contextualize religion rather than to inculcate Christianity.
It's not indoctrination or anything like that. It's just another subject that they should learn about and know about. Did you ever have any pushback from a child? What age did you teach? Secondary. Okay, so did you ever have any pushback from any student? No, not particularly, no. We all seem to enjoy it, really. Well, the experience I had, I wasn't an RE teacher, but I used to help out with the classes, Interesting. Yeah. I think it's important that they know about all these religions, all about Islam and everything they should know about. Why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's important, Irene? Well, so they understand what's going on in the world, and They need to be informed, like all the other subjects they learn about. They need to be informed about so they can make decisions later on.
Right.
When they're older,
Okay. All right.
I'm not saying force any particular religion down their throats or anything, but just, general discussion about it.
Okay.
Good thing, I think.
All right. I appreciate it, Irene. Thanks for calling today.
Yeah. Okay, sir. You're welcome.
29 minutes before 1, 272 on another subject. I bought some mince pies today. And they're absolutely gorgeous. Well, that's the one thing about Christmas, isn't it? Mince pies. 404 reports that the salaries of MHKs and MLCs have cost the taxpayer, how much did you say? £13 million in the past 5 years. Does anybody think we've had value for money? Well, there's a difference, isn't there, between a cost and value. What something costs and what it's valued at will determine whether you think something is cheap or expensive, doesn't it? I mean, it may be a lot of money, but... Right. Nobody in the past said, quote, if God didn't exist, we would invent him, says Liz D. I don't know who. Oh, somebody in the past said that. If God didn't exist, we would invent him. I don't know who said that, says Liz D. I think our laws have been based on the 10 Commandments. 123 texted in. I think the law's based on the 10 Commandments. So we're obeying Christian laws whether we want to or not.
When the ordinary just won't do, make your meal out truly iconic at the restaurant at the Ginger Hall Hotel. An expertly crafted menu full to the brim with delicious, freshly cooked starters, mains, sides and desserts, with daily chef specials and their famous ginger roast every Sunday. The restaurant at the Ginger Hall Hotel, Ballymanock Road, Sulby. Open Wednesdays and Thursdays from 5 p.m, 12 noon Fridays and Saturdays, and 12 till 4 on Sundays. Dining at the Ginger Hall. You'll want it all.
A big thank you to your workmen. They've done a very good job. My property looks like new again. Thank you, EPS.
We're delighted with the house. Your employees obviously take great pride in their work.
The work was done promptly, professionally and considerately.
EPS, transforming properties island-wide with the revolutionary Protex wall covering system. Guaranteed for 10 years. Call 627 191 and book now for spring and get 10% off.
A good job. Well done.
Heating oil for homes, powering farms and businesses, keeping you moving with petrol stations across the island. Ellen Mannin Fuels. Call us on 844000.
As the hot air balloon lifted off, Ellie's financial future rose too. Secure, steady and full of possibility. Thanks to Skipton Guernsey and their fixed 4.1% AER saving rate until September the 1st, 2026 on deposits of £10,000 or more. Let your money soar with confidence. Join Ellie and secure your rate today at Skipton.
For details on Skipton savings products, call 01481 730 730 or visit skiptoninternational.com. No withdrawals allowed until maturity. Interest paid annually and upon maturity. Skipton International is licensed to take deposits by the GFSC and is a participant in the Guernsey Banking Deposit Compensation Scheme. See dcs.gg.
Are you a small charity here on the Isle of Man? Are you looking for volunteers, hoping to raise awareness and chasing those crucial pounds and pennies to support your work? Well, Manx Radio can help. You could be our next 1 to 3 Charity of the Week. With daily on-air coverage, podcast and social media promotion, we can help support you and those you help. Just email the numbers 123@manxradio.com and listen out for the feature each weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. The Charity of the Week, brought to you by Kell Properties.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Mr. May, good afternoon. If the government helped fund first-time buyers, won't this just serve to inflate property prices, requiring additional assistance in the future? Many MHKs appear to be spending our money for their gain at the next election, says Julie. Well, and also helping people get on the property ladder. That's important as well, isn't it? Wouldn't you think? I am not religious at all, but I think I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I've come off motorbikes numerous times over the years, looked at the smash bike at the side of me, and always looked up and said, "Thank you, Lord," for looking down on me, says Tomo. Here's Kevin now. Hello, Kevin.
Oh, hi, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, very well, yes. What do you want to chat about?
Yeah, just a quick response. I listened. I think it might have been Monday, was it Tuesday? David Quirk was mentioning about the conference up at the Comus.
Yeah.
And the Chief Minister and the change of policy on the subsidies for apprentices. I think they reduced the threshold from 10, I think it was. I'm just picking up on, once again, the training. I was in dialogue with Julie Edge about this, and the ability to become qualified on the island. I think I've mentioned this a few times now. But Julie Edge did come back. She actually tabled a question on my behalf, and I had the response back by email. And I got to say it was quite disappointing because it didn't really address the issue, rather than it just pointed a link to the government website. So it was rather than an answer to the query, it was more of a restating of the question. So I did say it was quite disappointing. And I think Julie Edge was going to go off and pursue it. But I was also mindful by a further comment that was made in the last year of the administration that we are facing now, that not much will be done because it's rather this forthcoming year will probably be more the sort of a holding time, marking time.
Well, let's face it, Kevin, this year now is the perfect excuse to do nothing. Because and I'm not saying people will, but it's the time when, it's coming towards the end of an administration and we don't have the budget and this could happen, or it might change next September, so we don't want to start something that's going to be changed in 6 months' time.
Yes.
But the trouble is,
some people,
there doesn't seem to be a sense of momentum about this.
No, some people might argue that nothing's been done for the first few years, but the point I made to Mrs. Edge was that the facilities do exist on the islands. They're just mothballed. And I think if there is a change in stance with the support for apprentices for small companies, they really need to address this standing issue anyway, because it goes hand in hand. But the other thing that was interesting, I think David Quirk said, and I think he often mentions this, is I think the threshold, I think it was 10 apprentices. Now, there's not many contractors on the island that will have more than 10 apprentices. That's quite a lot. They might have one or two. Even sort of the bigger companies, they will only have maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 apprentices. So although that threshold might have been reduced to qualify for funding, it won't make any real difference, I think. It's just something it's one of those changes that's like fiscal drag, isn't it? Nothing changes, but we all get caught in the trap at some point. But it looks good. It looks good as a bit of a electioneering. But in reality, there's not much change there that's going to take effect in this last year. But I just thought I'd update you with regards to, I have to pay credit to Julie Edge because she was paying attention, and she did. I know she listens to this program because she emailed me after I spoke last time. So I know that there is some representation now through the Mannin Line. And I just like to pay credit to her, but it's still disappointing, and I hope that in the next few years we see things change.
Well, you would think, and the other thing is, what's the downside? It's going to cost a few more bob, isn't it? Really, but the upside is infinitely better than we have now.
Yes, it's a subject that's actually close to my heart, but I think that the irony is that the facilities are there. But due to staffing resources, they're just not used. And you'll find, I'm speaking more from the electrical side rather than gas, but those apprentices who are training and will be becoming qualified in the next few years or whatever, it doesn't take long, they will have to travel off island. And it is difficult given the position with that leads you on to the position with travel, steam packets, air links. It's all connected, and if you can't, David Ashford is often saying that the island needs to be self-sufficient. Well, it's not really happening in terms of training and qualifications if you're still relying on travelling off an island.
Okay.
So there's a bit of hypocrisy there. I think the next administration, there's a hell of a lot to do, I think. I think that's something, I think people are calling for change now. It'll be interesting to see what changes in the next the next few years.
Okay. Appreciate you calling, Kevin. Thanks for being with us.
All right,
today.
Andy. Thank you.
Thank you. Kaz in Ramsey said the 20 miles per hour poles were bought and put up before the public were asked for feedback. The zones apparently also showed up on our sat-navs before the survey was undertaken. So how can we be expected to have any trust in the government after this? What else are they committing to that they're not telling us about? We'll then have a tuppenny-halfpenny survey and then claim that that's what we wanted anyway. And Bonzo's on now. Hello, Bonzo.
Hello, yes. Well, here we are, discussing the two things that you should never discuss at dinner, religion and politics.
Politics and religion, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, and, well, if God didn't exist, we'd have to invent him. Well, that's Voltaire. Great band, Cabaret Voltaire.
Yes.
Or as feminists would say, if God didn't exist, we'd have to invent her. Although there's the other joke, of course, the philosopher's toilet wall joke, which is God is dead, said Nietzsche. Nietzsche is dead, says God.
Very good.
Oh, yes, but then going on to Easter and Christmas. Well, obviously when Christianity started getting going and various people were going around preaching the gospel and saying, hey, Christianity, this is the thing to do. And a lot of people went, yeah, fine, I like this, but what about Yule? You know, I mean, it's cold and dark up here, and, you know, you want us to stop having Yule? It's the only thing that makes getting through to the end of the year worth doing. And likewise, Istra, this thing that the Romans taught us about, although, of course, there is a pagan version of it rather than the sort of Roman one. That as well, that's another nice festival. You know, I mean, why are you doing all our festivals in? Sorry, you know, this isn't a really attractive thing. So, in order to make the Christianity far more palatable to the local pagan populations, they kind of co-opted Easter and Christmas, so that Yule thence became Christmas, and Istra became Easter.
Do you think there should be religious education in schools, though, Bonzo?
Difficult question. I'd say that there should be education about religions in school, but I don't think there should be religious education.
Right.
Per se, I don't think it should be, you know, like the 1944 Education Act. Every day must begin with a service of Christian worship. That sort of thing.
Well, the thing is that there are the four big religions: Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Now they account, I think it's something like 80% of the world's population. If you identify, if follow a religion, you're in there: Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, or Buddhism. So do you think students should have a working knowledge of what all of those means?
Well, yes, and certainly Islam as well. And maybe a couple of more minority religions. But the thing is, they need to, I think, be taught about the fact that religions have origins going back to all sorts of things, and that Islam, in particular, Islam and Christianity have the same roots in Judaism. You'll find many of the restrictions of Judaism are actually in Islam, such as not eating pork and such. As for these other religions, well, of course, there's also a very broad amount of people who also believe in ancestor worship in various shapes or forms, in China, and of course in Japan, that's Shintoism. Which is animist, and everything has spirits.
Anyway, Bonzo.
So yeah, religion. Yeah, you can talk all year about that.
Okay, but the election.
The election. Yes. Well, Simon Williams. I thought he was in the Archers.
You're betraying your social life now.
Oh yeah, well I could say I remember him in Upstairs Downstairs.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
that would be okay. No, I saw the reruns, you see. But I think the fundamental on this election is that people have to actually believe that their vote is worth something, rather than, oh, well, they're standing again. What's the point of voting, really? Let's get in anyway. Same old, same old. So what's the point? Whereas if you have a proportional representation election system with single transferable vote, it's been used before on the island.
Yeah.
There's nothing to really stop people doing it. Then people's votes actually do have an impact. So you don't get the same continuing Comyn party candidates getting in and forming the Comyn party and keeping on with the policies of the Comyn party.
But the next administration's got a lot to do, Bonzo.
Oh yes, I mean and that's why we really have to get this election right, and that means having a truly representative Keys, and that means, of course, a wider participation of people at the election, because you now have, I think it's been for the past two elections, certainly, I think the turnout's been below 50%. And as I say, with the importance of the things that we are going to be facing over the next 5 years, that Keys really has to represent popular will. Not that I'm saying it should be populist, but it should be more representative of the electorate, and that means more of the electorate being encouraged to turn out to vote.
Okay. All right, Bonzo, we appreciate it. Thanks for calling today.
Okay, cheers, bye.
When the Mannin Line's not on air, call Manx Radio to leave your opinion for broadcast on 682 631.
Discover the work of the man who could paint the wind at the world's largest exhibition of works by Archibald Knox, right here on display at the Manx Museum, featuring exquisite jewellery, pewterware, paintings, manuscripts and furniture from collections across the British Isles. Visit Knox Order and Beauty every day from 9:30 till 4:30 at the Manx Museum. Discover more Knox-themed events at manxnationalheritage.im.
Tower Insurance has been insuring and serving the Isle of Man community since 1928 and has become a trusted partner for many on the island, being there for the community when they need us most. On the 6th of October, Tower Insurance takes on a new identity, Intact Insurance Isle of Man, part of the Intact Financial Corporation. As Intact Insurance Isle of Man, being part of a global insurer, we will continue to help Manx people, businesses and society prosper in good times and be resilient in bad times. If you would like to find out more, please contact us on 645 900.
Charity of the Week, brought to you by Kell Properties.
Forget-Me-Not are a Manx charity dedicated to supporting families affected by dementia on the Isle of Man. Most notably, we fund 3 full-time Admiral nurses based at hospice who provide vital specialist support across the community, making a real difference for local families. Learn more at forgetmenot.org.im. That's forgetmenot.org.im.
This advert is brought to you by Kell Properties.
It's the perfect time to plant spring bulbs and winter pansies, and there's a wide range available at Ramsey Garden Centre, plus a full range of garden essentials for indoor and out, including battery lights. Visit Ramsey Garden Centre, open 7 days a week.
Tomorrow evening here on Manx Radio, join me, David Kinley, on Island Life for a series of programmes entitled New World, Old Ways, where we discuss the history, culture, folklore, superstitions and music of the Manx emigres to the New World, the United States of America, and in particular the Appalachian Mountains. I'll be talking to James Franklin, a culture fanon, about folklore. That's tomorrow evening at 5:30 p.m. here on Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Well, Paul Jones stepped down as manager of FC Isle of Man. The Ravens have a new man in charge of, who's caretaker at the moment, first team manager, Rick Holden, former Manchester City and Oldham Athletic player. Rick takes charge of his first match Saturday, 4th of October, when FC Isle of Man host Barnoldswick Town. Barlick Town are coming to the Bowl on Saturday, the 4th of October. I think everybody should say thank you to Paul. I think Paul was instrumental, actually. He played a pivotal role in the creation of the club. Is it 7 years ago now that FC Isle of Man started? He was interim team boss in November 22 and then took the job for the 2023-24 season. So we say thank you to Paul Jones and welcome, albeit temporarily, to Rick Holden. And David's with us now. Hello, David.
Hi, Andy. I've just come out of the conference there for the second time. Really enjoying it. I just want to correct, because I came on the car. I listened to Kevin there. Kevin's picked me up wrong, and I hope nobody else has picked me up wrong. What it was, if you had more than 10 employees in a construction company,
right,
or whatever, and that would probably include secretaries, admin people, and whatever, and bean counters, you weren't entitled to get any grant aid assistance. So now they've removed that cap. So as far as I'm aware, I need confirmation of it too, but the Chief Minister said it, and I believe him, that that's been removed now. So anybody that's looking for apprentices, if they've got more than 10 employees, and they may not be in the construction industry, can apply then to have funding to employ a joiner, plumber, anybody, right through the plasterer, whatever, labourers and skilled work there, so they can do that. But I wanted to quickly flip on the second part of today's exercise there and just give praise to Jane Poole-Wilson, the Home Affairs Minister, because we're going to get, whether we like it or not, and I want it, face recognition at the sea terminal. And we're going to get, and this is all subject to the members of the Keys endorsing it, and then the MLCs actually putting it through as well. So we've got to rely on these politicians to do the right things in the future, as far as I'm concerned. And then number plate recognition. I still see a load of cars with English plates on being well over here a year, and they've never been changed over, because that's one thing we're losing out in revenue. And then because they don't have any tax discs on, so nobody can actually check them to see if they're valid or not.
Right.
That's the main issue with them. But I have to give it to Jane Poole-Wilson today on her presentation regarding the police and so forth. Like I said yesterday, the only thing that concerns me, and I never had a go at her today about that, is I couldn't see the point of having 3 policemen walking in a row and all had a sidearm each and then walking back out. One would have been suffice, and I'm not surprised nobody else has been on saying they felt uncomfortable, because when I looked at them, as you do when a policeman comes to a certain venue, you do look at them, A, what they're there for, and B, have I done anything wrong, which I haven't. just to let you know. But I think that we've gone a bit OTT on that, but that's all I can criticise them for.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for calling today. We appreciate that.
See you, mate.
Good to hear from you. Pete said, regarding tree and shrub property and renters' responsibility, I don't know whether you saw this little pamphlet that's been sent to properties around the Isle of Man. You may have got one yourself, about what your responsibilities are if you have an overhanging tree or a shrub or a hedge. No problem as far as I'm concerned, says Pete. However, are the same rules going to apply to local authorities when trees and shrubs encroach onto private property? If I were to trim back the said items and throw the cuttings back onto their land, I'd probably be done for fly tipping. Is there one rule for the public and one for local authorities, says Pete. Send me a photo if you can, Pete. Just tell me what the situation is. But point taken. Mark said, I wasn't born a sinner, I was born perfect. says 179. Thank you for that. Religion is like climate change, says Desmond. It's a means of controlling the masses through fear. Most people these days get married in a registry office. Well, the only time I go to church is for funerals. And as for Easter bank holidays, What do you think? Well, so are you really? You didn't tell me whether you are religious, Desmond, by the way. I mean, do you believe in not believing? Because I suppose even believing in not believing is a belief, isn't it? It's a type of belief. Our parliament and laws are based on Christianity and Christian values. MHKs who preach against having prayers and a bishop in Tynwald, yet they get married in church, have their children christened and regularly attend the church service at St John's in the chapel every Tynwald day. I think it's complete hypocrisy. Have you filled out this survey yet? It's at manxradio.com. A year today, the 24th of September 2026, it'll all be at fever pitch. All the candidates will be biting their nails down to the quick. It'll be general election day a year today. And if you go to manxradio.com, we've got a special survey for you. Just a short survey, won't take you long to fill out, absolutely free of charge. Really what issues you want to see addressed in candidates' manifestos and what your current MHK stands for, and just really getting your view. It's an open line tomorrow and Friday, and next Tuesday, Michelle Haywood MHK, the DOI minister's on. Russian MHK, Michelle Haywood will be on. So if you have anything to bring up about the DOI portfolio, which is, well, it's everything really, isn't it? Bus vanning, the railways, the trams, the Liverpool landing stage, airport, seaport, highway maintenance, recycling, the 20 miles per hour, you get it. Any thoughts on that? You can email, you can text and WhatsApp, or call the answer phone on 682-631. Thanks to Howie on the phone. Enjoy your day.
WINT